now to review the news, and joining me in studio is Hamza Seen, a lawyer and member of the NDC communications team, and as well Abronye, former president, GJA. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me in studio this morning. How's the weekend been?
Thank you for having us. Well, it's been okay.
It's been okay? Are you certain that it's been okay? Are you certain?
Well, we are in good health. Hopefully, this week will be better. So it's been okay, apart from the usual turbulent political nature. I
am curious to know about the turbulent political nature. We'll probably get into it, but Mr. Money, how's it been for you? A lot has been happening in the news. Every day we wake up, and if there's no news, it's not Ghana. But tell me, what has your attention in the news?
The media are a reflection of happiness in society. So if nothing happens, of course, some can manufacture news, either rightly or wrongly, but largely it's a reflection of what happens in society. So, so far so good. And it bears repeating, emphasizing that standards in the media are not uniform. In certain sections, standards are appreciably high. In other sections, standards are abysmally low. Well, so we're on it. The grace has been sufficient.
Hamza, what has your attention in the news? I definitely can't wait to talk about the Abronye case because, of course, you have been advancing some legal argument about that, the reasoning behind the judge's decision, and so we'll probably get into it. That has my full attention, and as well, we're all looking forward to a Monday like this because of the assurances that the Attorney General is stepping in so that he'll be released. But what else has your attention?
I think it basically has to do with the way we do our politics in this country. And for many of us who are members of the National Democratic Congress, and being so concerned about the legacy of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, we have made a commitment that our politics this time around will be different, so that even when he's out of the presidency, we can begin to associate openly with the kind of democracy he would have taken the NDC and Ghana through. It's going to be a painful exercise. It's going to be challenging, it's going to be turbulent, but knowing the man, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, I think that the onus is on all of us to ensure that we help him to succeed in that regard. It is not about pandering to the wishes or emotions of many people who are out there and simply looking for equalization when it comes to our politics, but it is about standing on principles. And there's no better personality in our political discourse, especially after His Excellency President Mills, who reflect these tenets than His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So clearly, I think that the discourse should be about how we can sanitize and ensure that we hold public institutions accountable, not just the executive and legislature. I've always argued that in this country, we have a lazy approach of ensuring accountability. Whatever happens, even at Ghana Water Company Limited, ECG, we are quick to place it at the doors, on the doorstep of executive or the legislature, when indeed many of these comrades of ours who are employed to man these institutions feed on fat salaries and do not get to face any form of accountability from the public. So those of you in the media, I think that the time has come for you to start changing the discourse.
You're in the media with me. Mr. Money, he says those of you in the media, and yet he's always on TV with me. He does a job with me. But Mr. Money, what has your attention? Before I quickly run us through, we've got lots of papers this morning.
The perception or misperception about the government fight against Galamsey, His Excellency the President obviously plunged headlong into controversy. Because of his explanation not to use state of emergency to fight Galamsey. Obviously, given the political space in which we find ourselves, this issue has been subjected to all kinds of partisan football. People have been stridently critical of the government for failing in its duty to fight Galamsey to the hills. Others, have been defending the government stand, and was their duty to do so. But in the midst of
the fight and the purported fight, as you have been, you describe it as misconception or or not? You're not too sure whether they are fighting it or they are not fighting it. But let me hear you out.
In the midst of the barbed remarks, in the midst of the blinkered views, MPP NDC views, in the midst of the noise over whether we are on the right path of fighting Galamsey, lies objective reality. And the reality is that the fight against Galamsey is far from being won.
Right.
So this underlines the need for officialdom to re-strategize, listen to the voice of the people, be more ruthless than ever before in fighting Galamsey. Because history is watching. And history will never forgive this present generation. In fact, this present generation will stand condemned forever at the bar of history if we fail to win the fight against Galamsey.
You have just added your voice to the many people, stakeholders who have been calling for this fight. But as well, I just want to remind our viewers that we're joined by Dr. Evans Dua, political commentator and researcher as well. Thank you, Doc, for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right. Oh, how's your weekend been? Over here as well, we take a minute to let you tell us what has your attention in the news or what you want to draw people's attention to.
So for me, it's been with the polls with the new Patriotic Party concerning the primaries. So as academics, we actually, who belong to the new Patriotic Party, we realized that there were some polls out there, but most of them, the sample size was quite little. And we wanted to have a significant sample size to be able to determine what the voice of the delegates are as at a given period. And that's what we've been working on, and that's what we will talk about.
Okay. We'll get into that, especially because the former vice president or the 2024 presidential candidate has been saying that Ghanaians should forgive them for the mistake, if what that means. You probably help us understand. But let me just quickly run you through the papers this morning. The Daily Guide is reporting, as I've just said, forgive us our mistakes. Dr. Baumia to Ghanaians. You find that story on page 6 of the Daily Guide. And as well, Abronye judge under fire over animal farm ruling. You must have heard that story. It's on page 3 as well. And Kofi Akpaloo as well says that his arrest is politically motivated. And I quote him, my arrest politically motivated. As well, you may have heard by now that Apostle Dr. Kwejosafo Kantanka passes on and is on the Daily Guide this morning. As well, the Daily Graphic this morning, poultry industry to be self-sufficient in 3 years, President's pledges. You find the story on page 3. And as well, anti-Galamsey task force purges and Cobra Bonsa rivers, 300 tractors destroyed and equipment as well seized. I don't know if this makes you happy, Mr. Money. Does this make you happy that they're purging the rivers, or whether the fight doesn't look bleak anymore?
Kudos to the fighters against Galamsey, but this does not obscure the fact that we have a long way to go. Okay.
Yeah. Hamza, I'll come to you this morning to ask you, what's the inside story? What's really the real challenge to fight the Galamsey? Because the energy you promised, the NDC government promised, is not the same energy in this plantation we're getting now. But let me finish with the Ghanaian publisher this morning. Mahama's deputy deal unconstitutional by the minority. It is in the Ghanaian publisher this morning. The News Center this morning as well says that not all Ghanaians are equal before the law. I'm sure you find this in the reasoning behind the decision of the judge to remand. Hamza is a lawyer. He'd explain better for us. And yes, so that's the most, well, I see. NPP elders bind flag bearer aspirations into issue-based campaign. Story is on page 9 of it, and as well, the Ghanaian Times this morning. Fear grips Takwa residents. Market stores cave in after blast from mine shaft. Story is on page 3. And as well, the Kumasi shuts down for Asante Hema's burial on Thursday. Story is on page 11 for Ghanaian Times. And the Ghanaian Times as well as reporting Ghana's foremost tech innovator, Apostle Kwejosafo, is dead. The custodian this morning will maintain Baumia for 2028. Ashanti Region Speak. Dog, you should keep this paper. You have a lot of explanation to do on that paper. Yes, I guess that will be all. But let's start off, Hamza, with definitely the Abronye matter. And we'll start with not all Ghanaians are equal before the law, as the judge has been saying. My little reading of equality before the law is being challenged in this particular essence.
I can imagine. And good morning to you, my colleagues in the studio, at least our cherished viewers out there, and your production team. There's always the tendency for you to leave that out, and they do a chunk of the work.
Certainly, yes.
So respect to you. You see, I think that my position on this matter is known already. And I believe, like I indicated, it has nothing to do with courage on my part as an individual. It has more to do with principles, and most importantly, that is the part people take out, a conducive political environment for me to be able to express those views, knowing that the political system is not going to come against me, even my own party, knowing that the political system rather will reflect on the concerns that many of us are raising. And that is why in the last election, we were forthright in our campaign for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. I am not sure that under a different regime, I would have been able to muster the courage to speak out on concerns I have when it comes to dispensation of justice. Because we saw what happened in the last 8 years under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Even his own party members who held different views could not speak out. And like I granted an earlier interview and I said, for me, my presentation or my position on this matter should not be credited to me. It should be credited to the man on whose watch I am able to express these views, knowing that he will listen, and that is Excellency John Dramani Mahama. I'm clear in my mind. I have followed his politics. And so I try as much as possible to reflect his ideals in my communication and my public poster. And that was what drove me to be able to read the entire judgment and make clear the position. There is this erroneous impression out there, as if government is interested in hounding Abronye DC. Absolutely not. Let us get this straight. His conducts are repulsive, condemnable, and we should not entertain that kind of political rhetoric in our political discourse. But it does not also mean that in trying to punish such behavior, we should massage the law and force down legal principles that are clearly reprehensible and not in our law books. The Criminal Procedure and Other Offences Act is quite clear in terms of the power of bail and the fact that it resides with the judge. It is a discretionary power. But even in acknowledging that it is a discretionary power, under Section 96(5) and 6, it sets down the parameters that the judge must go through in granting a bail or denying same. I read the judgment. I did not see any direct compliance with the injunctions of Section 96 of our Criminal and Other Offences Act. And for me, that was my discomfort.
He won't be right to have cited precedents in his own court.
And I'm getting to the precedents. If you read that judgment extensively, the same judge said that in 2023, he remanded an NDC communicator, one Raphael, an activist, for insulting His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I am clear in my mind that in 2023, we condemned that action. And we thought that it was an affront to an expression of freedom of speech by a citizen of the Republic of Ghana. As a party, many of us.
Condemning the action does not take away the precedent in his court.
No. The law, when we talk about precedents in law, it doesn't mean that any kind of precedents. It doesn't mean that you have to import your own measure of what the law is, even if it is not the law, and call on the Republic to honor it.
Right.
And for me, that was my disappointment because we condemned it. I looked at that judgment, it didn't make sense to me. And we condemned it. And I saw it, and excuse my language. You see, we must understand that those of us who claim to be politicians, there are many in our public services who are more political than us.
Yes.
So when I read the judgment, when I read the judgment and I saw his references to the previous regime, the fact that in 2023 an NDC activist was remanded and seeking justification for remanding Abronye, I saw that, look, no, this is not the law. This is something else. Yeah. And so the NDC and the legacy of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama must be distanced far from the reasoning of this judge. Because I know that there's no way government will give a tacit approval to this. And people are forgetting. In this country, His Excellency President Mahama in his first term, when the judiciary has decided to assert and defend its territory, you remember the case of the Munti 3?
Yes.
And they were brought before the judiciary, the Supreme Court. His Excellency President Mahama respected the processes as President of the Republic of Ghana. These guys were dealt with, NDC activists, by the judiciary and were remanded. In fact, they were taken, I think they were given a sentence of about 3 months. Upon series of letters and of expressing remorse and petitions, it took President Mahama after a full month before he decided to exercise that presidential pardon, by which time everybody in this country would have been convinced that at least 1 month was enough for them to have realized that what they did was improper. Yeah. But President Mahama could have interfered by speaking to the judges behind the scenes for those NDC activists not to be sent to prison. But he didn't interfere. So if the Ghana Police Service, through the IGP, is also demanding institutional respect and integrity for the Ghana Police Service, people must understand that this is not the president demanding same. It should give us confidence as a people that indeed even our public institutions knows under whose presidency they can assert their institutional independence and integrity. And that is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Okay. And so when I listen to the NPP attempt to draw, and that was my banter with the minority leader, when I listen to the NPP attempt to draw His Excellency President Mahama and the NDC government into this unfortunate exercise of discretionary power in the Abronye case and create the impression as though it is the NDC that is hounding Abronye, I found that repulsive and unacceptable. Okay. Because the government has demonstrated its unwillingness to interfere when it comes to the functions of the
I'll let Mr. Moni just also take a bite. And Doc, I'll come to you quickly. Mr. Moni, so you have heard his position. Many of us will express their position on the behavior of this judge. What do you have to say?
I'm inclined to side with our learned comrade. The law is the law, is the law. And in applying the law, we expect judges, even though we are told that the law resides in their bosom. That's it. Yeah, this is what we are told. But in applying the law, we don't expect them to skew it in favor of anybody.
Yeah.
This law should be applied in its strictest sense. And there should be no miscarriage of injustice any time, anywhere. Abronye's style of politics is something else. But his incendiary rhetoric, his poisonous comments are no justification for the law to be interpreted or applied against him. He is entitled to presumed innocence until found guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction. Yeah. So we expect the law to be applied.
But what do you expect? What do you expect of this judge? What do you expect the government? What do you expect the head of the judiciary to do to this particular judge, given that all of the arguments, we have not gone to court to prove that everything he has said is wrong? I think the law as it is allows for a lot of debate and conversation. But what do you expect of the government?
I think the ethics guide the judicial service should be applied. We expect the higher authorities to distance themselves from this statement by the judge. Okay. That some people are more equal than others. The application of animal farm should have no space in the 21st century Ghana. Not at all.
Doug, do you not believe that not all persons are equal before the law?
The law is a law.
Is it?
And all of us are equal before the law.
Is that not just in white and black?
It should be, because for me, the point is that you would have to apply the law to every person as you would have applied to your own person. And that is very important.
For example, the president has some immunity. He's a person.
Yes, but that's
a privilege.
A privilege and a provision in the Constitution. So that is the law. It's not as if it's just...
But can we not infer that doesn't make him equal? If you have certain privileges...
if there is an amendment, but as it stands, there is a provision in the Constitution for that.
Right.
So I personally think that what should happen is that the judge should go according to the law. I do not support Kevin Taylor, Abronye style, and all those people. For me, I was raised with decorum. I was raised that to respect our elders and stuff. So such things should not be tolerated. But freedom of speech is very important. If you do to A, then you should do to B. And I think that if we are going after Abronye, then there are so many people that we should go after them. And at the end of the day, you can't do that to Abronye and then expect to leave other people. So then if you're going to clean the system, then clean everybody and apply the law. But you don't target people who presumably are of the opposition, and then it becomes as if you are witch hunting certain people. And that is a wrong impression for this government to give. And I don't expect them to do that.
Okay.
No. I think that it is important for that correction to be made.
Which
and
one?
I made that point already. This is not an action of government. Let's get it straight. And so, unlike we had in the past, where in many of these cases, the Attorney General himself was leading against known NDC activists. This is not what is happening in this current.
So in this particular case, what role does the Attorney General have in it? What can he do?
That is why the Attorney General, I'm picking information, that today the Attorney General will be interested in the matter.
Fantastic.
You understand? So he would step in. But this was initiated by the Ghana Police Service. And that's the point I'm making. You see, we must be careful not to run down our state institutions. The Ghana Police Service has a responsibility to protect its own integrity and image. And when they invoke their rights to do so, we must also resist the temptation for the presidency or the government to be interfering. Because it is this kind of interference that makes it impossible for our institutions to truly be independent. But this particular instance, it is okay for the Attorney General to intervene because we feel that the reasoning of the judge is quite strange. In all honesty,
if I understand you, the police has got a responsibility, they themselves, to not get involved in these kind of, put themselves in this kind of...
No. What I'm saying is that they have a responsibility to protect institutional integrity. Abronye went on radio and decided to attack the foundation of that institution, including their head. Like the Muntie 3 was said to have been attacking the institution of the judiciary and judges, and the judges exercise power. The police is also simply trying to...
Which laws would they be operating with?
Even the judges operated under the laws of Ghana. We are all part of the entity Ghana.
Okay. Doc, I see you wanted to react to this.
No, but let me...
Today, my time is like a, like a bird. It's like the stomach of a bird.
On the issue of the Section 96(7), like the judge's ruling, make no mistake, it is not as if the judge wouldn't have found any legal basis to still continue to remand Abronye. But we are condemning that judgment because of Martin Kwebu versus AG.
Okay.
And the decision that, look, you cannot use bail as punishment. And if you read the entirety of the judgment, it is clear that the judge sought to use the remand as a way of punishment to curtail reckless political commentary. And that is what some of us are condemning. But Abronye's own conduct, the possibility to commit a similar offense whilst on bail, Section 96(6) makes provision. And so the judge still could have referenced this provision and justify saying, based on Abronye's past reckless commentary about accusations against President Mahama of killing people, not too long ago, 550 million Ghana cedis against President Mahama that he had stolen from the Jubilee House.
So the judge would have found many other laws
as foundation to remand. So that could have been defended legally. No. But if you read his judgment, there is no legal basis for that judgment to stand.
Doc, please respond.
And we all must be worried about it.
Okay, so for me, the most important thing is that we are looking at the independence of our institutions. However, who makes the appointment? If it's the president who is helping with the appointment, then whoever is at the top naturally will be grateful to the one who made the appointment.
Yeah, so are we in case specific, are you concerned about this judge and as to whether he's been appointed by...
I'm talking about the police.
The police, okay. Yes.
So in this case, the one there would want to indirectly be grateful to who put him there. In that case, if there is anything that goes against that government, he would want to protect it because somebody placed him there. So what I'm trying to say here is that the police is doing their job. However, the law is a law, so we should not punish him because of bail. But I don't want a situation where we are picking up on Abronye and leaving other people. If the police want to do that, there are more cases around that they could do so that it would not become a case of witch hunting and political opposition. And that's what I don't want us to do.
Okay. So, Doc, the newspaper in front of you says that, or even not for you, there's one that's Bawumia, is Dr. Bawumia, respectfully, is asking that Ghanaians forgive them. For what? Where's the money? What do you think he's asking for forgiveness for? He was just in government, and the government did what they had to do, did they not?
They promised to make cost of living better for Ghanaians, but left office when the cost of living was strikingly bitter.
Okay, and was that intentional?
Social contract, you enter into social contract with the people. So your inability to fulfill the social contract should come with some consequences.
Okay.
That's why the people voted the way they did at the polls in 2024.
Okay.
But his apology is a step in the right direction. Yes, because it's a sign of sincerity. For an apology to carry weight, it should be sincere. And you can tell that he did it with all sincerity.
In 2016,
for an apology to be effective, it should be specific. And you can see that element of specificity in that apology.
Okay.
And for apology to be also effective, it should be timely. So the timeliness can also carry weight.
Okay.
Give him some plus. It shows that Bawumia is maturing. You know, with every human being, perfection is an impossible goal. So Dr. Bawumia has his imperfections. So he's telling Ghanaians, yes, I have my imperfections, but forgive me and try me again. And this is something I endorse. Is
this not what, well, Doc, is this not why Kennedy Japan says that? Then don't try what you have tried and you know the taste already, so give me the opportunity. And in answering that, let's just get into the conversation about the polls that you introduced. I mean, some weeks ago, Global Info Analytics have already said that Dr. Bawumia seems to be leading. That's just the title.
They were emphatic.
They were quite emphatic, not even seem. They were quite emphatic. Many other small polls as well have suggested that he is still leading. You, for a researcher, is this the same for you?
No, it's not been the same. But first, I'll respond to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia apologizing. We should take it this way, that the Ghanaians that we are all serving actually are the employers of all the politicians. And for one reason or the other, if they have employed you and they've sacked you out of office for reason 1 or 2, it is accountable and responsible for the person to come back to the people. I've heard you. I've heard all that you've said, and I'm sorry for not doing A, B, C, and I hope to amend it. So Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia apologizing is a good thing, but we should remember that Honorable Kennedy Japan, during the tour that they had, the Unity tour, was the first to start apologizing to Ghanaians. And the reason why he started apologizing to Ghanaians at the beginning was because he felt that Ghanaians were disappointed looking at the 1.7 million loss. And that was an emphatic statement by the Ghanaians. And he felt that we should do. So I feel the MPP as a party, even looking at the aspirants, have all realized that Ghanaians may have some level of anger because of the expectations. They had some expectation towards the MPP, and they had some levels of disappointment. That could be accounted for in different ways. But sometimes people will not understand that there was COVID-19, there was Russia-Ukraine war, there were other factors that affected global economics. Now, coming to the polls, I personally, this polls that we did was initially not even meant for the public decision. It wasn't meant to be in the public domain. It was initially done for myself and my team. So we lost the elections. I'm someone that believed that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had done well at the top for 8 years, had done well at the top as a vice president. And for he being a flag bearer, I believe that he was the right person to lead the country. Unfortunately, December 7th, when we lost the elections, I realized that how did we lose? Because I could see that we could lose, but not with that magnitude, not with that margin. So I quickly on my Facebook page started asking people, what do you think caused this loss? So people started answering. I said, okay, now let me take it beyond social media and let's inquire from people. And when we did that research, we realized that the reasons for the loss, if they are not corrected and they are not rectified, the MPP can be in opposition for a very, very long time, because you have a Mahama who is coming for a legacy period. And for that reason, he is expected to do way better than he did. So then I decided to now check with the delegates. What are they thinking? Because the Ghanaians, I saw that the confidence level they had in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was not the same. And for that reason, I wanted to see, would the delegates also reflect the same thing? So we did a first poll with 8,000. And please, I would have to put it in perspective. If you pick some of the polls going round before ours, most of them are doing under 3,000 in terms of sample size.
Okay.
3,000 here. We are looking at the total registered voters of the New Patriotic Party in terms of the album is 203,000. Now, with 203,000, most of the polls going around is less than 3,000. The first polls we ran was 8,000. Surprisingly for me, Honorable Kennedy Ejapon was leading. And I was like, I didn't expect that. Because looking at Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia being the flag bearer and he being the one leading, how would that happen? So then we went ahead to increase the number of the sample size. And then we did a 10% sample size. So we did 20,000 as against 200,000.
Okay.
Now, what is amazing is that we use what we call the quota sampling. Quota sampling simply means that we look at something like Greater Accra, we have about 39,000. You pick something like Northeast, we have 3,400. The population density in these two regions are not the same. So what do? We pick a coefficient for them and we multiply per the sample. So if we are picking 300 random sampling from Greater Accra, we're going to pick about 29 from Northeast. And that will be very significant and representative of the situation. When we did this, we realized that majority of the delegates that we spoke to had made up their mind who they wanted to vote.
And that would be?
And that act, surprisingly, was Honorable Kennedy Ejapon leading at 41%.
Did this surprise you as a researcher? Because then you had already, what you did was to increase the sample size.
Yes.
Did it surprise you that the table
So
turned?
the 8,000 is where I got the surprise.
Okay.
And then the 20,000 was now a confirmation of what I saw with the 8,000. And then I asked myself, how? So then we went on again. So these were the questions we asked them. We asked them previously, who did you vote for in 2023? And who would you be voting for now? Now, what we do is that we have the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is like the realistic raw data, what the people just said.
Yeah.
But you have people who are either undisclosed or undecided. Undisclosed is where they are not comfortable telling us who they want to vote for. Undecided is they are confused who they want to vote for. And then there are people who would say, I would vote for example, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. However, I'm thinking of voting for Honorable Kennedy Ejapon because the citizens, the people around me, are telling me that he rather gives us a better chance at 2020.
Interesting. I'm looking at your data here. So both worst case scenario and best case scenario,
yes,
they went for Kennedy or Ejapon.
Yes, in
both.
fact, even in the best case scenario, so in the worst case scenario, there's a runoff, which means that none of them is crossing that 50%.
Which is not good for an incumbent candidate.
It's not, because then you have the incumbent and the team are saying that the rest of the candidates are ganging up against him. So what it means is that if there is a runoff, that means he's already lost. And then in the best case scenario, where people are thinking, who would I vote for if not for A, they are thinking of voting for Honorable Kennedy Ejapon. And then that even widens the gap.
The gap.
And
interesting. Okay, so I've just seen, luckily you said that you were not going to release this to the public domain, but you have, now you have.
No, I said the 8,000 is what I did not release.
Okay.
And the 20,000, I released it because I realized that the people need to know, because there were other polls coming out which were not significant to me because they had a small population. Sample size.
This data that you have just released will leave a lot to unpack, and I just want to take the thoughts of the two panelists. Unfortunately, today I'm pressed for time, so we're unable to go into details, but I've got just some 2 minutes I'm going to spread across. Mr. Money, does this surprise you?
Certainly yes. No, certainly no. Certainly no.
You seem to belong to both worst case and best case scenarios.
Yes. Sometimes, sometimes the most marketed candidate does not translate into votes.
Okay.
In terms of marketability, I think Dr. Bawumia is leading. And in terms of voter appeal, in terms of, because he's vice president, he's been moving around, that sort of thing. But Kennedy Japan should never be written off.
Okay.
He should never be written off because when the state establishment, when the whole establishment was against him, he garnered more than 30%. 37% against
that's interesting. That's
highly significant.
And he was in the race for only 10 months.
Yeah,
at that time.
Highly significant.
Hamza, I'll give you the last. Hamza, I don't. My time is small.
Oh, why? Well, then why did you bring me in?
I promise. We have the whole.
I decided to turn down other offers to be here. Because
I promise. It's not characterized of us, right?
Okay.
So
Anyway, but you see, I've listened to Doc. I can understand his inclinations and persuasions when it comes to who leads the new Patriotic Party, even though he's trying so hard to convince us that he's conducted a very reputable research, which I'm not questioning, but even in presenting the outcome of the research, it is quite clear where his leanings are. And I agree with Senior that indeed you cannot write off Kennedy or Ohene Japan as far as the NPP primaries are concerned. But in truth, any research that fails to project Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as the next flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party is suspect to me. I also engage with a number of the NPP foot soldiers. I engage with many of their delegates. I have friends in there. I can gauge their political temperature, even sometimes without any scientific research. It is clear that it is going to be very difficult for Kennedy Agyapong to unseat Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as flag bearer of the new Patriotic Party. Because you are missing out one important thing. There's what we call long-standing reputation when it comes to our politics in this country, and not just even our politics. Those who are familiar with economic principles know what that means when we are dealing with issues of monopoly. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia undoubtedly has that edge when it comes to the politics of the new Patriotic Party. First, because of his activities in opposition for 8 good years as running mate to His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. That might have been affected in government because, of course, those of us in the NDC reminded the good people of this country that he was selling dreams that could not be realized, and they didn't listen. When he was eventually given the mandate to lead, we all came to the realization that he was selling dreams. So that is going to affect him when it comes to national elections. But as to whether indeed that will affect him within the new Patriotic Party politics is something that we are not certain. But I can assure you that whoever their research is able to project, the National Democratic Congress as an enviable
I didn't even ask any question about it.
We'll do everything within our power to ensure that the people of this country continue to keep them there.
You're watching the AM
while
show.
We continue to
We'll be back with more. Please stay with us.